Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report, the 3-Martini Lunch Common Sense Radio. Yes, indeed. Jamie Allman here with you and Ashlyn over there. And got a big day for you. There's really something interesting happening here in Missouri with Catherine Hanaway's office and other people investigating this company that makes baby monitors that somehow is tied to the Chinese Communist Party. And I'm laughing because it's like, wow, that's crazy. And there's some insinuation that the Chinese might be using these baby monitors to spy on children. I'm not quite sure what they would get out of monitoring a baby. I really don't. I mean, I'm not quite sure what that would, but you never know, because essentially it might not be monitoring the baby as much as it is monitoring the home, because those things are everywhere. So we're going to have a person on with us in the 1 o'clock hour talking about that and talking about that investigation. Rick Poe going to be joining us as well, our business guru. This is also on the heels of the Trump administration, which I believe is doing a good thing. And that is the Department of Justice starting to investigate the gouging that might be going on with the oil companies. He says the oil price, the barrels prices are dropping dramatically, and the price drops at the pump are not matching that dramatic barrel drop price. And President Trump is calling the oil companies out on the matter. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest when you look at all of the ways in which so many companies and other kinds of entities take advantage of crisis, take advantage of times when we are at our most miserable and most vulnerable, and they don't give a rip. You saw what happened during COVID. Half of what happened during COVID didn't have to happen, but did by choice because they could. And you notice all of the things that went away during COVID, right, that never came back again. All the service element things, all those kinds of things that the companies use to excuse just simply firing people. And I guess if you can do the same thing and get away with it with fewer people, I don't blame you for making those kinds of cuts. But you can see that much of what many of these companies do is they take advantage of things, and I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if there was not a level of gouging going on, but President Trump and his team are apparently on that. We'll follow up on that as well. And also going to be monitoring what was going on and what will be going on down at Busch Stadium. I'm presuming this is going to happen at Busch Stadium. There is going to be some kind of news conference or announcement at 1 o'clock regarding the organization or reorganization of the Cardinal front office or Cardinal ownership or whatever it happens to be. We're going to follow up on that and see. I'll be monitoring that for you to see whether there's anything big coming out of that. I had the pleasure of attending the game last night with Aiden, Natalie, and Lily. It was a gas. And we lost, and I know why. It's the same reason why we've lost before. We don't score enough runs, and we also have lousy relief pitching for the most part, and that's been a bane of the Cardinal existence for a long time. We're sitting there. Arizona starts to rack up a few bases, and the relief pitcher is throwing nothing but balls and foul tips. And that usually when that happens after a long line of those things, you're going to get rocked, and that's exactly what happened. Marmel comes out, had a chance to take him out, didn't do it, and then they wound up scoring even more runs. And we came back and probably could have won had they not continued to have this one guy in there. And again, I'm no expert. I'm not a pitcher. I'm not even a manager, so I hate to kind of second-guess these guys. We still had a great time. Cardinal fans are fantastic. I did decide this time I wasn't going to get the $14 cheeseburger, and I went for the gusto and got one of those gigantic sausages, and I put sauerkraut on it and all kinds of crap. It was good. I mean, I never eat like that, so it was really a positive experience for me. I mean, I couldn't, and then of course I couldn't hold it because there was so much goop all over it. I couldn't really hold it in a bun form, and it was good. I really was I was really proud of myself for going ahead and not being a priss about ballpark food and just going ahead and just going big or stay home. Right? Is that what they say? Exactly. All right. So you guys know what I was talking about at this time yesterday, weren't you? You guys remember that, right? I was telling you how in the wake of the Dan Goldman banning from the Islamic jihadist coffee shop that it wouldn't be long before the Democrat Party was fully colonized by Islamic jihadists, Jew haters, and sprinkled a few more communists in there. And you've got what will be the incarnation of the Democrat Party in just a matter of a few months, and certainly by the midterms, the Democrat Party will be a shell of its former self, and they have nothing but themselves to blame for it. And if you look at what has happened in New York alone, you are seeing the writing on the wall. I was hearing a news report about how the individuals were unseating all these America-hating, Jew-hating, terrorist-loving candidates were unseating mainstream Democrats. Dan Goldman is not a mainstream Democrat. So whoever these people reporting on this, acting as if these are mainstream Democrats, the Democrat Party was polluted by leftists anyway. And now, of course, it has attracted more leftists who now obviously are going to wind up cucking the entirety of the Democrat Party, and they're going to deserve it. The one piece of audio I think you need to hear that will indicate all this is when Hakeem Jeffries was speaking at this event where they were screaming Free Palestine, and Hakeem Jeffries was speaking when it was announced that this terrorist sympathizer, Claire Valdez, has won her primary and basically has won a seat in Congress. Hakeem Jeffries goes out there and starts to speak, and the crowd talks over him. And listen to what they were saying. You're next. 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 That's Hakeem Jeffries, who is a far left politician, Democrat, whatever. And believe me, the people who are chanting you're next, are not only a bunch of spit from first-generation immigrants like most of the problematic people in this country are, but I'm looking at your typical white liberal women in their 20s and guys in their 20s. I was hearing some people talking about how the Jews are all voting for these terrible people in New York, but that's not really necessarily the case. There are some, and you know, that's for sure. But for the most part, we're in a situation where we've got a bunch of these young people who are voting for these far left individuals, these young people who, by the way, we have talked with our guy Alvin Louie about this before. And Alvin Louie has said all these people were not trained in college to be left and America hating. They were trained in grade school. You're next. They're telling Hakeem Jeffries, you're next. And so, you know, Van Jones at this point is saying, hey, the establishment of the Democrat Party, which already, by the way, is left, they're not fooling anybody, is basically being taken over by this so-called insurgency But it's worse than that. They're being colonized, like I said yesterday, and this happened all throughout New York. Because I've got more where this is coming from. It happened all throughout New York, including with a woman who won a state Senate seat, and she has famously been on the record on X as bragging about not having any napkins, so she used the American flag to wipe her hands. That is the kind of quality you're getting here. And these and by the way, the person that this individual Valdez unseated was a Hispanic. So the Democrat Party, which was once home to Hispanics, and for that matter, even some blacks, is now the home of Islamic jihadists, a bunch of Muslim dirtbags, and America-hating anti-Semites and individuals like that. That's the Democrat Party now. You saw what happened. I mean, at this point, if blacks and Hispanics don't realize what the Democrat Party is all about for them, you do know what happened to Jasmine Crockett, right? They chose, in the end, little white boy James Tallarico, who was a leftist whatever, who they could kind of transform and use as this Trojan horse for the left. And so when push came to shove, they were not the party that they claimed to be for black people, whatever. They were really the party of a mercenary, win at all costs. We don't care about anybody else. We don't care about black people, or for that matter, in this case, Hispanics. They just let this happen. Mamdani doesn't care about Hispanics. I'm telling you, I told you yesterday that people of Mamdani's ilk and these traitorous, America-hating, Islamic jihadist sympathizers among the Muslim community like no one but themselves. So, and they will be very clear about it. At least in other cases, like with the Democrat Party, they pretend like to care about other minorities. But when push comes to shove, they don't even care about Hispanics. They don't care about blacks. And they sure as hell don't care about white people. But all those people are the ones who are allowing themselves to be colonized by these terrible individuals who are now polluting and poisoning the water of this country.
Do you think Democrats not in New York City should be learning from this?
Well, first of all, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffrey. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. But do you care? I mean, I thought that the Republicans and the conservatives would be the ones to have to dismantle the Democrat Party. But it turns out it might just be easier than that. We might not have to do anything but watch these individuals, mostly young people who hate America, hate Jews, hate Hakeem Jeffries even, who are telling you're next. They're going to be the ones that destroy the Democrat Party, because by the time it is colonized by these terrible people, there won't be anybody voting for them in any kind of numbers to give them any kind of power. Right now, of course, they did win these seats in New York and everything else. They have experienced that, and there are some people. But if that's what the Democrat Party turns out to be, they're going to lose even more people, and that's just going to be the fate. Grab your popcorn, and let's just watch the Titanic hit the iceberg and shoot right under the water. That's how it's all going to go. Going to have to ask our buddy Alvin Louie about all of this, as we normally do on Wednesdays. I think will tell us that some of the voting that we have seen is a manifestation of what he's been talking about. The miseducation of our young people in our schools. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Happy Wednesday to all of you and yours.
News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
So last night when I went down to the MAC, took the kids down there, and before we went took the shuttle to the game at Busch Stadium, I ran into my buddy Sully, and it just so happens he was going through his phone, and he asked me, have you ever heard about this pest control company? Because my wife just sent me this bid from this pest control company, and it was not Buckingham Pest Control. And I said, well, I know the people over at Buckingham Pest Control. I guarantee you Buckingham Pest Control will give you a better deal. I took a look at what they were proposing, and this company is the kind of company where you're really kind of paying for the name, and you guys know what I'm talking about. So it turns out that Sully was smarter than even I could have assumed, because he went back. He goes, well, that name sounds familiar to me. And so he showed me the list he gave to his wife, and it had Buckingham Pest Control on it as an affordable and effective pest control company. And that was really super cool. I messaged Noel right away, and I said, yeah, he's going to get a hold of you. And that's so Sully already kind of had Buckingham Pest Control on his radar, but his wife, lovely person, just gave him another bid from somebody else, and I talked him out of it. So that's because I believe in Buckingham Pest Control. That's because I know that they are super good at what they do. That's because when it comes time for your mosquito eradication, the spraying as opposed to the fogging is always a better way to go. That's because when it comes to killing ants and spiders and getting rid of termites, there are more exhaustive and direct means of doing it, more effective, and Noel Buckingham knows that. As you talk about insulation, I even told Sully, I said, he even does pest control insulation, which is a proprietary blend of a pest control element that not only is inside the insulation, it's keeping your house cool in the summer and warm in the winter, and at the same time it's grabbing insects and pests before they even get into your house. They love attics, and the pest control insulation is the best. BuckinghamPestControl.com, proud supporters of free, common sense, conservative radio.
Spring weather has everyone sneezing, even inside their home or building. Instead of saying Gesundheit, call Wellington Environmental to perform air tests to determine if mold levels are too high. Gesundheit is the same as saying bless you after someone sneezes, the German word meaning wishing you good health. Wellington Environmental can perform air testing that is simple, fast, and can identify issues keeping you from having good health. Wellington does the same for hospitals and nursing homes for indoor concerns. Give them a call. It's simple. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. Tell Cindy, I need air sampling. They've seen it all. They can help you. Next time you hear Gesundheit, think Wellington. Wellington Environmental. Be well with Wellington.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Word is being released of a military rescue deep in Iran. It sounds like a Mission Impossible movie, but it was real. In April, an F-15 was downed by a swarm of Iranian drones. The pilot and weapons officer were able to eject. The pilot rescued almost immediately. The weapons officer, seriously injured, had to hide in nearby mountains. In the meantime, Iranian forces were searching for him, and the Iranian regime offered a $60,000 bounty to anyone who found him. The wounded officer got 7,000 feet up the mountain, his emergency beacon alerting U.S. forces to his location. SEAL Team 6 was dispatched. Despite the odds, the American was rescued after 36 hours, and everyone was going to get out safely. But then 2 helicopters could not fly out, so he destroyed them on the ground. See, that's what Biden should have done when we abandoned Afghanistan. But no, the decision then was, let's just leave the equipment and the weapons for the enemy. There's a difference between leadership and a true commander-in-chief.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Gulf Shores Restaurant.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you and Ashlyn over there. And Amy says she took her dad to Monday night's game as a Father's Day gift. He had a blast. Yeah, I think it's really fun. Cardinal fans are great, too, and played the Diamondbacks, and, Cardinal fans are also sweethearts. And so when Arenado came out, because he's with the Diamondbacks now, everybody gave him a standing O and a bunch of applause and everything else. And so Cardinal fans are good people. And as I say, we are monitoring what is going on at the Cardinal front office right now. Eventually might be spilled out at 1 o'clock, so we're kind of keeping an eye on that. There's some changes being telegraphed, and we'll let you know if those are significant in any way, shape, or form. All right, my point last night, I immediately, when I looked at the pictures, when I looked at the videos, Alvin Louie, Courage is a Habit. When I looked at this video, and I'll play it for you in a second here, I thought of you immediately because this is the victory party for this America-hating terrorist sympathizer, Claire Valdez, who basically won her primary and also basically won a seat in Congress. So this is one of those done deals. And Hakeem Jeffries was speaking at her event, and this is how the crowd responded. You're next, you're next, you're next, you're next. That you're the next incumbent to be sent packing, and these individuals here are not a bunch of people wearing Palestinian flag garb or doing whatever. They are mostly white. They are younger women, men. They look like they're fresh out of college, everything else. And as we see what's happened in New York, as we see the clear colonization of the Democrat Party by a bunch of commies and Islamic terrorist sympathizers, I couldn't help but think of you as you've talked over the last 3 weeks that we've talked about how all this really is a manifestation of a cultivation that occurs all the way back to grade school. Welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
You're the best call I have every Wednesday.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We love you, buddy. Thank you. So what do you think about that part of it?
Oh, I mean, what you're seeing there is two things. I say that you've got very old people that are going to the No Kings protest, okay, like they're 70, 80 years old, right? Mm-hmm. Mostly woke white women and these weak white male full of white guilt. And then you've got these very young people, which is what you had alluded to in the video. Basically anything anti-white, anything anti-America, they're for it. And, of course, transgenderism and all those things. It all ties together because they're getting it from school. Now, the point here is that in any other time in history, a 70, 80-year-old woman and a 17-year-old girl has absolutely nothing in common, unless they're like grandmother, granddaughter, right? Then they share family.
Yes.
But the music, the taste, the politics, everything is different, completely different. This last 15 years is the only time, especially the last 5, where you see the old people doing the No Kings and the young person chanting death to America and wanting Islamic terrorists and open borders and all those different things. They are almost identical. That's near impossible. And the reason why it's identical is because the very old people only consumes legacy media. They consume legacy media only. And so the legacy media is brainwashing them one direction, the anti-America, anti-white, Trump's a Nazi, that kind of thing. Open borders is good. And then the young people get it from K through 12, and then if they go to college, they get it from there as well. But the same apparatus that's brainwashing the old folks in legacy media is the exact same apparatus in your government K through 12. That's why they sound identical. Otherwise, it's impossible for that two, very old woman and a very young girl to sound identical. And so what you're seeing there in those chants is, like you said, is mostly white folks, is because they've been driven that white guilt and that white shame. And that's driven very early on in that critical race theory teaching and culture in K through 12. And then, of course, by the time they get to be, 19 and 20, they're ready to be activated. And I think even on your show, I had said in the past, people always think kids get brainwashed in college, like they're Marxist indoctrination centers. And I say that might have been true 30 years ago. But today, the brainwashing is complete by the 12th grade. If they go to college, is so that they can be activated, not brainwashed.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting too, Alvin Louis, is that they were shouting this at a black congressman. And this was after, of course, this woman had unseated an Hispanic incumbent. So it's really like, wow, what's going on there psychologically?
Well, the woke mind virus, or this anti-America communist takeover, the entry point is to white folks, because obviously this country is built majority white people, and the whole entire Constitution, everything's built on white people. But ultimately, that's the entry point. But it's about anything excellent or anti-government. So if you're a black family and you're a black family that don't tie your children to slavery and say you can't succeed because of slavery, they hate you too.
Yeah.
And if you're a Chinese man that says I don't want open borders, are you nuts? I came from, my family came from this communist takeover. You're letting people in that hate this country. This is where we came to escape communism. Are you crazy? They hate that Chinese man too.
Yeah.
If you're a Filipino mother that says, no, I'm not going to teach my daughter that feminism is good, this is the worst thing, we're going to stick to our culture and say, no, if you're a woman, this is you love family, you love kids, you love this, you love marriage, you love all this stuff, they hate her too.
Yeah, well,
anything that destroys their narrative, they hate.
Well, I guess that explains how we could see a bunch of these so-called liberals or people on the left who could call ICE agents Uncle Toms and race traitors and all that kind of stuff as they're standing there. So now that explains that for sure.
Well, yeah, for sure. Because if you're a black man or you're a Indian man or whoever, and you work for ICE or you work in any immigration enforcement, they're going to call you KKK, which is hilarious, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm Asian, and I've gotten, the only time I've ever had racial slurs are from woke white people.
Yeah.
Democrats.
Wow.
I have never had in my whole life, any racism, zero, growing up in this country, anywhere, wherever I go. It's only from the woke white inclusive people, 100%, not even 99%.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I tell people it's okay to have closed borders, and if you're white, you have zero reason to have any guilt. And oh my gosh, woke white women can't have that.
Yeah.
These weak male, spineless men can't have that.
Yeah.
Because they need that. They need to use that as their virtual signaling. And when I come in and destroy that, the real racism come out,
Yeah. That's crazy. I'm not laughing at it, but I'm just saying, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. Oh, it's absolutely hilarious. Like you can take it to the bank. Like you can you can mark it, go, here it comes, 3, 2, 1,
Yeah.
Here comes the racist.
Right.
Here comes the racist comments, right? Because that's all they are. And they can't believe it. They cannot believe anybody who is not white would go, hey, I don't want big government. I don't want illegal aliens. I don't want reparations. I don't want anything. Just leave my family alone and let us succeed and fail on our own merit. We actually don't need you, woke white person. They can't.
You know,
Oh, God,
Alvin, they'll even do that to gays. So, you know, usually when the left gets really angry about things, they really tend to sexualize their anger quite a bit, which is why, for instance, Gavin Newsom will bring knee pads to the G7 summit or something. And man, the kind of homosexual derision that they attach to President Trump and Putin and all this kind of stuff is really weird.
Oh, it's super weird, right? Because they use it as such a big slur, so it's actually kind of funny. And you know, like if you look at a group like Gays Against Groomers, who mostly are just gays and lesbians, and then they fight hard against the transgender cult, especially in schools and in what we do. And I know many of them.
Yeah.
In different states, by the way, because they have different chapters. The death threats that they get from the inclusive and love crowd, the inclusion and empathy crowd, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the amount of slurs and the amount of hate. I mean, truly death threats and hates. You know, the Gays Against Groomers group. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. They cannot believe that they believe that everybody not white should be always against white people in America. And when that doesn't happen, because there's so many normal people, even if they're not Republican, they're just normal people. You know, They don't want kids to be trans, and they don't want grooming in schools, and they don't want these insane teachers and school counselors telling them that they can keep secrets from parents and open borders, and you know, giving people reparations for something they've never gone through. It's, you know, just normal people stuff, and it's really hilarious to see all the true hate coming from the crowd that always talks about no hate. You know, it's really funny.
That is nuts. Well, you know, similarly to the Democrats allowing themselves to be colonized by America-hating, left, Islamic jihadist, Jew-hating individuals.
Yeah.
It seems to me, as you talked about mainstream gays and lesbians and things like that, you know, I noticed that they allowed their pride flag basically to be bastardized by the transgender community to the point where they took the pride flag and just slapped a big triangle on it. You know, I'm like, you guys just allowed them to colonize your pride flags.
Well, that you know what it is. This is the problem with all identity politics, because once you start identity politics, it's simply just a course of nature that something more grotesque takes over. So before, when they were fighting for gay marriage, the people are like, no, if we start monkeying around with the marriages between a man and a woman, and we start going, okay, maybe we could be inclusive of you too, it won't be long before they start going after kids. Now, of course, back then, the same people going, that's not going to happen. It's fear-mongering. It's right-wing conspiracy theories. That's not going to happen. We just, you know, love is love. Eventually, once that's satisfied, a bigger monster will come. Just like feminism, like a lot of radical feminists, they're mad about the transgender stuff. I know they are, right? Because they're all older radical feminists now, or they're all quite old. But they had set that. They set that culture. They said that they were equal to men, and then they were better than men, and they didn't need no man and stuff. So great, right? Now they're like, okay, fantastic. You don't need no man. And they're like, oh, we're all the men. So what do you mean? You just told them you don't need them. And now these deviant men, the most horrible men, are now in your space, but now you're complaining, now you're crying. It's like, well, I get it. We still fight alongside you for that kind of stuff, but don't get it twisted. You set this tone. They're using the same gaslighting and nasty tactics that you did back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, but now a bigger monster came using your tactics, and now you don't like it.
Yeah,
and that's what the problem with identity politics. It always gets there. This is why this idea of identity politics, saying I need special accommodations because I am X. Once you start that path, it always ends up creating an uglier monster.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you know, similarly, there's a topic that I think is super important, and this is regarding a display in the middle of the children's section in Barnes & Noble in Carmel, Indiana.
Right.
And
Right.
this is so hard for me. Well, first of all, tell me what's going on here. And secondly, I can't figure out what is really the purpose of this? Why is it so important to these people to just promote the transgender element here to children? I don't really get this.
Oh, it's easy. The long game's easy, and we'll talk about the display. The long game's very easy. The transgender cult's long game is pedophilia because they cannot procreate, so they have to recruit. That's it.
Oh, that's simple,
They can't
huh?
procreate.
Yeah.
That's simple. They can't procreate, so they have to recruit your children. That's it.
Yeah. Wow.
That's it. They don't nothing else. All their love is love, and we're supporting kids and listening to your child and just accepting people different than them and being kind. None of all that. All that is complete deflection and noise and is all dishonest. They want your children. That's it. They can't procreate, so they need to recruit. Simple as that.
Wow.
That's why the drag queens and everything's. They're not performing for old folks' home.
No.
They're
No.
performing for your children, and not even children not even 20-year-olds. They're like 5.
Yeah. Well, and it used to be that for instance, you look at the, remember back in the old days, the movies, right? And it was always kind of funny when you had now I can't remember Tootsie, and then you had the guy Jack Lemmon or Tony Curtis dressed up as a woman, and those were just kind of fun. That was just kind of like always kind of a vaudevillian type of gag, But this is a lot different than that.
No. This is different.
Yeah.
It's very different. I mean, you're not, and it's all about context and it's all about purpose and all those kind of things, right? So Barnes and Noble, right? This is in Indiana. So this is what we always say when it comes to the brainwashing of children. Your red and blue state makes no difference. This is the same thing in K through 12. People think red states are different when it comes to this. It is not, because the organizations that have been taken over are all the same. So whether you're talking about education, you're talking about the American Library Association, the school counselors. So anyway, Barnes & Noble's right in the children's section, right in the middle of the children's section at eye level for toddlers, there was a whole display of these really very disgusting, very obscene transgender books. And it's right at eye level. One of the books, and there's several because it's a whole display, right? But one of the ones that we have featured on X is the one that says Granddad's Pride. Okay, Granddad's Pride, and it literally is right at eye level if you're about like 3 or 4 years old. Okay, and this book is actually written for 3 years old and up. It's very disgusting. And basically, as you flip through the pages, it's all these cartoon drawings of the most deviant people that you can imagine. So you've got, 2 guys kissing in leather. You've got drag queens. You've got all kinds of disgusting things. One picture shows a woman with scars in her breast where her breast used to be, right?
Oh.
So, obviously things like that. And so it's just this one disgusting image after another, but all drawn so that children will be like, oh, they're just normal people. And it is normal. They're just families. They love each other and just everybody in the community. But it's the most deviant drawings of the trans cult, the drag queens, all the sexualization, 2 men kissing, like I said, right, wearing leather chaps and all those kind of things. And so this is in Barnes and Nobles, and these are pages that I took. It's not like I took it from somewhere else. I literally got there, and I opened the book and took the pictures and exposed it.
Wow. And it seems to me, Alvin Louie, and you guys can go to courageasahabit.org, of course, also a very active X page and everything else. But it seems to me that I was wondering, well, do they really think there's a market for this? And to me, I don't think it really matters to them. They want kids to see it. They don't care necessarily whether they buy the book or not. They want to expose them to this because that's just all part of the grooming, and it's a process.
It is absolutely a process. The earlier you can get it, the better. The earlier you can get into their brains, the better. Because what we always say is that when we say brainwashing, it's a little bit of a misnomer, even though we kind of have to use that term just because it's easier for people to understand. But it's a little bit of a misnomer because brainwashing, it indicates that there's some intellectual misinformation, like we're giving you information that's not true, so you think a different way. Well, if you do that, then arguably you can also present other information that helps you think the other way, right? So if I'm giving you dates and things, and if I'm telling you something that's not true, someone shows you something else that counters that and can prove it's true, then you're like, oh, okay, Alvin was wrong. But what's happening when it comes to schools and these books is not really brainwashing. It's actually a discipleship. Because what they're doing is that they're changing the values and worldviews of a child. That's not brainwashing. That's a religion. And it's near impossible to reverse that when they get to be 20 years old.
Yeah.
Because they've been through it when they were the most impressionable, when they were basically toddlers all the way through, until they get to be their early 20s. That's too many. That's too many decades. So those 2 decades are the most important decade of a human being's life, because at that point, once you're set, you're set.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so those kind of worldviews, this is why a lot of Republicans and conservatives, they'll use facts, they'll use logic. And I tell them you might as well just have not said it. Facts and logic means nothing to somebody who's been they've gone through that discipleship when they're young.
Yeah.
It's too late. So if you brainwash a girl, from elementary to middle school on about abortion, it won't matter how many fetuses you show them when they're 25. They will scream they want the abortion, and they'll celebrate, and they'll die on the hill for it.
Wow. Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it, because it's too ingrained. That abortion is too ingrained in them.
You are so right. And, this isn't really, and thank you, Alvin Louis. I appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and take our break. But I wanted to tell you, though, and this isn't any kind of Jesus freaky statement on my part, whatever, even though I am religious. But I also believe, when you talked earlier about some of the tenets of acceptance and love and tolerance, it seems to me that the roadmap and the user's guide to life and tolerance and acceptance, everything else, is right there already in the Bible. Like if you live your life according to the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ and God, all of these problems are solved. They are resolved in terms of tolerance and acceptance and everything else. And it just seems to me that that's a missing component here. And I think these people all want to create their own form of what's already been taught by God and should be enough, but whatever.
Well, there was a saying that I wish I remember who said it, because I can give him credit, but he said, when you don't believe in God, it's not that you don't believe in something, you just believe everything.
Oh. Yeah.
So I think that's a great quote. So
right.
You go, I don't believe in God. Then they go, oh, you don't believe in anything then. No. It's not that you don't believe. If you don't believe in God, it's not that you don't believe in anything. You believe everything.
Yeah, right. Well, that's a really great point. That's really introspective and philosophical and true. Alvin Louis, it's always enlightening to have you on the show. It's our pleasure every Wednesday. We'll see you at courageisahabit.org, and make sure you guys follow them on X, and I'm presuming you're on Instagram as well and all those other fancy places, right?
Instagram.
Okay.
Yep, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and X, and we have a huge catalog for everybody that can help them protect their kids.
Perfect, buddy. I appreciate you so much. Alvin Louis, have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, sir. You too.
All right, buddy. That is Alvin Louis. Yeah, this is really interesting stuff there. Guy seems to know the codes, man, of what's been truly happening. Breaks it down very, very easily. All right, so it looks like President Trump has had enough of the oil companies keeping gas prices as high as they are, so we'll talk about that. Rick Pogue is on the way. And also, are Chinese-made baby monitors being used to spy on Americans? It's a real thing that Attorney General Catherine Hanaway is thinking about. We'll follow up on that, too. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch.
There's so many others who would beg, steal, and lie, and fight, kill, and die.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Bill, that's a big smile for an old politician.
I'm thinking about our plan. It's slick enough to make a lobbyist blush. First, we hoodwink voters with Amendment 5. Tell them it's a tax cut. Once they're hooked, we decide who pays the higher taxes.
So it's not a tax cut plan, and we don't get a say?
Right, just swaps who pays the tax, but it does remove 3 voter-passed taxpayer constitutional protections. That lets us levy new taxes on services, increase sales taxes, and even tax home sales. And voters will no longer get to vote on tax hikes.
Higher sales taxes on groceries, gas, service taxes on doctor visits, childcare, and even rent on apartments. Jeez. Taxes could exceed 20%.
Sure, they figure that up to 80% of taxpayers will pay more taxes. Many, hundreds more. Seniors, they'll get hit even harder, but our big donors will cut a fat hog.
The ones getting butchered by Amendment 5 are most taxpayers. I'm voting no on 5.
Paid for by Missourians for fair taxation.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Newsteaders Fine Jewelry.
Keep me going.
And where are you at now with that fundraising?
Yeah, so we've raised about $2.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. The 3 Martini Lunch. Larry Blandino. Did anybody hear that this black New York Mamdani chick who won the state Senate seat used the flag to wipe her hand because she didn't have napkins? She bragged about it. Yeah, I told that story earlier in the show. So just so you know, we have it covered. Larry! I'm using Enter Sandman for a reason. Remember the New York Yankees. Mariano Rivera, their awesome relief pitcher, was known as the Sandman because he would come in to a Yankees game and as a relief pitcher, and put all the batters to sleep. So they call him the Sandman. So as we await the Cardinals and their supposed 1 o'clock press conference where they're announcing some type of ownership transition or front office changes, who knows whether or not. That'll also include, hey, and plus we're going to get a bunch of relief pitchers so we stop losing games like we did last night. Because that would be nice. We need one of those. And you know what? The Cardinals have really never had one. I mean, Bruce Sutter and I think Lee Smith at one point. But for some reason, our relief pitching thing, we've got a couple of really good ones now, but it doesn't seem to be a priority when, in fact, it's the key to the game. But what do I know? All right, coming up, Rick Pogue, our small business guru. So glad you all are with me here. Wednesday, beautiful day. Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch on News Talk STL.
I want to share something with you. Cooking a pizza using coal creates an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. Of course, they offer a wide variety of pasta, but you just visit the website napolistl.com, dine in or take out, and get ready for patio season. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Try it. You can thank me later.
News Talk STL is turning 5, and you're invited to the party. Join us Friday night, June 26th at Frankie Martin's Garden in Cottleville for a totally rad celebration with the Retro Nerds, St. Louis's favorite 80s tribute band. Live on the outside stage from 7 to 10. It's an all-ages show, so bring the whole family and stop by and see us at the News Talk STL Pavilion right near the stage. Frankie Martin's Garden, the place for and about community in Cottleville. Details at frankiemartinsgarden.com.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
When insurance companies know you're represented by Onder Law, they know Onder is not going to let you be pushed around. Their reputation is built on years of courtroom battles. If you suffer an injury or damage to your property, serve the insurance company notice. You have Onder Law on your side. A St. Louis firm you can trust to protect you at every term. Don't settle for less. You want to win? Believe me, Onder wins. Onder, O-N-D-R, underlaw.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Today is the 4-year anniversary of the repeal of Roe v. Wade. Marjorie Dannenfelser of the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America says that the next battle will be over the use of abortion pills around the country.
We have women who are receiving these drugs because of a Biden COVID hangover. The rules were dropped around the distribution of these drugs. There's no in-person visit to anybody associated with her health.
And she was a guest on the Salem Radio Network. President Trump says his luncheon with senators will be focusing on ways to pass the Save America Act for voter integrity.
Speaking with reporters, President Trump said we have to pass the Save America Act, which is voter ID, which is proof of citizenship, etc. Mr. Trump is attending a closed-door Senate luncheon at the invitation of Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott. The Save America Act would mandate photo identification and proof of citizenship in federal elections, terminate vote by mail, and require local governments to regularly purge their voter rolls. It would also ban men from women's sports and prohibit transgender procedures for children. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Stocks edging higher as falling oil prices help take some pressure off the market.
I'm Seth Sutel, and this is Markets in a Minute. Stocks are rising on Wall Street as falling bond yields and lower oil prices help ease pressure on the market. The S&P 500 rose 0.7% in the first hour of trading Wednesday. The Dow added 318 points, that's about 0.6%. The Nasdaq Composite rose 0.8%. Brent crude dropped 3.9%, bringing it closer to where it was before the war with Iran started. The price of gold briefly fell below $4,000 an ounce for the first time since November. Seth Sutel, New York.
And you'll find more on these stories at townhall.com.
Let me ask you a question. Are you carrying a balance on a credit card right now? If you are, you're paying somewhere around 24% interest. Wow, 24%. That's not a loan, that's punishment. Meanwhile, you're sitting on a house full of equity at a fraction of that rate. The math is insane, and the credit card companies are counting on you not adding it up. Fellowship Home Loans does the math. For over 20 years now, Mike and Brian have helped families consolidate that high-interest credit card debt into their mortgage and start keeping the money they've been bleeding out every month. Everything is done in-house. One roof, one team, all with a servant-led mentality, people who know your name and treat you like family. Break up with your credit card. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Ask for your free mortgage checkup. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
This hour of News Talk STL, brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
It's a warm one out there. Temperatures in the low to mid 80s today. Cloudy skies for the most part, and the humidity on the rise thanks to southwesterly winds. We'll see a few spot showers or a thunderstorm this afternoon. That rain chance will pick up a little bit overnight tonight. Could see a few storms north of St. Louis in the morning, and then more showers and thunderstorms Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and into Friday, which could cause some flooding, and there's the possibility, a low-end risk of a severe storm or two as well. And then it gets hot Sunday and all of next week. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm KMOV meteorologist Kent Earhart.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Certainly hope you guys enjoyed Jeff Portman on the air with me on Monday, talking about the greatness of the Gemini Wealth Group. Jeff, one of 5 people who basically make up the guardians of the galaxy when it comes to your golden years. I like to call them that because that's how I envision them. Just that powerful, just that knowledgeable, more than 100 years of combined experience in investiture and also just in portfolio management, in planning and retirement planning, because you do need to plan. Lots of people kind of wind up okay if they try to do it on their own, but it doesn't take but a year or 2 to figure out, I didn't think about that, I didn't think about this, and I'm not thinking about 20 years. And that's why you need the Gemini Wealth Group, not only to grow your portfolio, create an income stream from your current portfolio so you're living off of your dividends and you're taking care of business that way. You're also making sure that you are planning for the healthcare costs that will come your way, maybe not immediately, but down the line. And also housing and vacations and travel. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to spread some of your portfolio out to the grandkids or do whatever? How are you going to do this and what are you going to do? And it's called Peace of Mind, but it's also the backing of the Gemini Wealth Group. And I know a lot of people think that these places all take these high commission. They don't. I mean, in fact, Jeff was telling me the story of handling a guy almost like $17 million of a portfolio. He makes like $500 off of it. You know, that kind of thing. These guys are really great price performers. They have a brain trust that is beyond compare, and they support your brand of free, common sense, conservative radio. TheGeminiWealthGroup.com, TheGeminiWealthGroup.com.
free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. News, analysis.
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. It's a happy Wednesday. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL, Common Sense Radio. Jamie Allman here with you, and Ashton over there. And the Cardinals just put out a news release announcing the organizational leadership transition. Bill DeWitt III is named CEO. Anouk Karanuratna has been elevated to president of business operations, which basically means he's in charge of making the money. And Bill DeWitt Jr. continues as chairman and principal owner, and he will be in all kinds of different baseball and business matters. And, of course, Claire Chain-Bloom is still president of baseball operations, and so they're just talking about the enduring commitment to the Cardinals and their fans. They also announced that Jamie Allman is absolutely right about their relief pitching, and they will get on that right away. So that's the other thing they're announcing as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Pogue, who I know, if I'm not mistaken, I thought Rick Pogue was a Cardinal fan because we talk baseball. You're one of those guys, right, Rick Pogue? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, brother. Good to talk to you. Yeah, I'm a huge Cardinal fan. Last couple of years, I've been pretty frustrated, as most people have been. It just didn't seem like ownership wanted to, put anything out there to win, and really go that extra mile. But this team here kind of reminds me a little bit of the '82 team. They're scrappers, So it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch again. It's more fun than it's been the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're playing some whitey ball, man. And you know what, Rick? One thing I do seem to get the impression, especially with a lot of these young guys, and Jordan Walker, who I think is just a huge asset to the team. It seems like these guys are having fun themselves. Like it seems like, they walk up to bat, and it was back in those days in '82, and to a large degree maybe in the middle of the 2000s, where it was really super cool. Because they walk up to the plate, and that anything can happen, as opposed to feeling like, oh, here comes another one. So yeah, I think it's fun to watch because I think also they're having fun.
I agree. Well, having fun is what it's all about, and that's really what wins championships. Having fun creates unity and camaraderie. And those are the teams that excel. So it's a beautiful thing to see for sure.
Yeah, and what doesn't win championships is the occasional relief pitcher who gives up walks and hits and everything else to guys hitting $2.67 or $1.90, whatever. And that's what the Arizona Diamondbacks are all about. Their batting average is terrible, but they look like the 22 Yankees against this relief pitcher who should have been taken out earlier. But what do I know, right?
Yeah. Well, I have to admit, unity and playing hard and playing whitey ball and all that. Yeah, that having fun, that wins championships. Which, unfortunately, so does buying all the best players.
Yeah.
We've seen evidence of that. So
yeah, with the Dodgers, of course, man. He just bought the team, and to a certain degree, the Yankees. Because I was talking about Mariano Rivera, and I think he was like a monster salary for the Yankees, so they had all that going. Hey, also in the news today, we saw that President Trump is ordering the Department of Justice to probe into big oil, and he actually believes it's come to this point where he's like, look, man, the oil prices of the barrel are dropping. But the oil companies aren't dropping their prices, and it's not kosher, and something needs to happen. He says, but gasoline prices better start going down a lot faster than what I'm seeing. So I'm glad he's taking some kind of action, or at least keeping them informed that he's got his eye on them.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, crude is down to what, $70 today, and it's going to continue to go down. And I love his enthusiasm. Unfortunately, the market's going to dictate oil prices. I'm all for him leaning on them and putting pressure on them, but the market is the market. It just takes one guy to lower the price, and then everybody else does. So
yeah,
the free market will work, but I have no problem with him, slapping him on the back of the head and say, "Let's go."
Yeah, and gasoline is another one of those commodities that is heavily reliant on futures. And so, you're going to get that playing into it a little bit regarding the futures market with gasoline. And so, yeah, but I'm glad at least he's paying attention, because I think a lot of people, their expectations are, that the gas prices are going to go down faster. And I think President Trump is more than anything, probably knows exactly what you just said, but is also willing to keep Americans knowing that, hey, man, I'm looking out for you. It might not be that easy, but I am looking out for you. Just so you know, I'm on it, is what he's saying, basically.
Yeah. Well, historically, I mean, any kind of pricing, not just gasoline, but it goes up a lot faster than it comes down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It goes up because they can do it to us, and it comes down because they're forced to do it.
Yeah.
Every company would like to have high prices, but the market is what drives it down.
Well, and I think I would have a similar analogy. I talked about this earlier regarding COVID and everything else, because you remember back in the day, I think a lot of these businesses loved the COVID thing because they could make excuses to cut out all these kinds of normal, average, everyday services. Like hotels would say, well, we're not cleaning rooms anymore unless you ask us to, or whatever. You know what I mean. And
yeah, I do. And the fast food industry is a great example. Remember, they were all open until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then COVID comes along, and they're all closing down at 10 p.m. Some of them are pushing a little later now. I saw Lion's Choice. They put a sign up literally 2 days ago. It says, out here in Winston, it says open late night now. So it's starting to come back. But
yeah,
they use it as an excuse for sure.
Yeah, and then of course, a lot of stuff never came back. I mean, it just never came back because they were like, oh, this is kind of nice. We're not having to spend money on this. Why should we go back to it when we've gotten everybody so used to it, used to not having it. So, yeah.
Yeah, working from home is a big thing. A lot of companies are continuing to let their employees work from home because they're looking at, brick and mortar buildings they don't need. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's some good that come out of it. There's some, I think, some laziness that's come out of it. But the whole thing was a debacle. Now we're seeing all this stuff that Tulsi Gabbard released on Fauci. And what really aggravates you, Jamie, is the press won't talk about it. It'll last a day or two, and then it'll be gone. And it's just very frustrating. It's obvious what the man did.
Yeah, and, I think, too, Rick Pogue, the press isn't talking about it because every time they open their mouths about what a horrible liar and criminal Dr. Fauci is, they're admitting being an accessory. Because they absolutely were. They absolutely used him and as a propaganda piece. They believed every word he said. They worshiped the guy. They put him ahead of President Trump and everything else. He hijacked. That's why I wish at the time President Trump didn't have those daily briefings. I remember at the time saying, man, stop having those daily briefings because all what happens is you have the briefings, and then Fauci and Dr. Birx, who's just as bad as he is, take over. And, and when I remember when President Trump, I'll never forget this. I mean, I remember where I was. I was actually in the parking lot of Straub's in Des Peres, of all places, picking up something. I don't know. And I'm listening to him announcing that he wants the churches open for Easter. And I believe this was 2021 or 2020. I think it was 2020. I can't remember, dude. Anyway,
Yeah.
he said, well, all the churches open. And then that weekend was when Fauci came out with the prognostication and forecast that like 2 million people would die by the end of summer of COVID. I mean, so this guy is a criminal. And I do believe, as Rand Paul does too, that this pardon and everything is meaningless. It was auto-penned. It absolutely needs to be ignored, and they need to fry this dude.
Yeah, and I agree on the auto pen pardon. But my contention was always, how do you pardon somebody who hasn't been charged with a crime? Biden pardoned, Hunter was, but he pardoned Fauci, he pardoned himself, he pardoned, how do you pardon somebody when there was no crime? I don't get that.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't even stand.
No, absolutely not. And the fact that he even needed it is a clear indication that he's guilty. And so, I mean, I just think it's really one of those things where I'd rather see the DOJ on that as opposed to maybe even the oil companies. But there's plenty of things to go around. All right, buddy. So speaking of all the other fun stuff, how are things going for you and your projects?
They're going well. I spoke too soon last week. I was hoping to have an announcement for you this week, but I'm going to have to push it one more week, I think. We're trying to get everything tidied up, but going well. Hideouts cruising along. Ashley, Lauren, doing a great job there. The Roadhouse, that's really shaping up nicely. That is going to be the center of Defiance. That's going to be the place to be.
Nice.
We're really proud of what we're doing there. Dustin's doing all these amazing. Dustin English, my partner, doing all these amazing things there. We're hoping to have that open now by August 1st. We decided to take a couple more weeks and make sure things are done right.
Oh yeah. Well, and you've got the time too, because you're then at that point in August, you're getting right into that nice autumn and fall, and St. Louis's autumns and falls are excellent, beautiful. It's not even getting cold till December, so that's good, man. It'll be perfect timing then.
Oh yeah, we're really excited about that. Of course, I have not many people know I'm part owner of Top Notch Mobile Bar, so it's an actual mobile bar company.
Oh,
so if you have an event or a reception or a family reunion or something out of your property or wherever, we'll bring the bar to you.
No kidding.
Got our own liquor license. It's like a food truck, but it's bars. So got our own liquor license and insurance and all that. So if you're worried about any of that,
that's a
Top-Notch Mobile Bar.
That's a great idea because oftentimes it's such a ordeal to go out, buy all the liquor, then get a couple people to bartend for you and everything else. It becomes this seems easy. Just drive on up and it's there, man. It's cool.
Yeah, that's why I got involved. My partner there, Jeff Kama, he brought it to me, and I thought, what a great idea. You got food trucks everywhere. Why not bars? And I had some people say you can't do that. Oh, you can do it.
You can do it. Yeah, I mean that's right. Have you ever been to a town? I think maybe I saw it in Key West, but more than anything, somewhere else where they have those. In Nashville, where they have those people that it's like a bike. And like 20 people are pedaling, and it's a bar, pedaling and drinking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
I've seen those. Absolutely, yeah. I've seen those down in Soulard.
Oh yeah. Oh, you have? Okay.
During the busy time, yeah.
Yeah, those are nuts, man. Great idea.
Hey, speaking of bikes, Full Throttle magazine. Check the July issue out when it comes out. My 2 motorcycles are going to be on the cover, so that'll be pretty. I'll send that to you.
Oh, I've seen those in real life. Are those the ones that you showed me in the? I guess they were in the room there at Arrowhead. No, in the basement of the Hideout.
The Hideout. Yeah, that's where we're keeping them.
Nice.
It's going to be really cool. And it's our 250th birthday, and we get to be on the cover for the July. So I'm excited about that. I'll make sure I send that to you.
Yeah, dude. What's the name of the magazine again?
Full Throttle.
Oh, nice, buddy. Well, good.
It's a bike magazine.
All right, buddy. Well, way to go, man. Always good to have you on the show. Congrats on all the great projects, and appreciate you living the dream so we can all watch it happen, brother.
Thank you, brother. I love you, and I appreciate
love you
very
too.
much.
All right, that's Rick Pogue. Yeah, coming up, interestingly enough. Catherine Hanaway seems to be on top of this. Apparently there's like investigation of this company that makes baby monitors and other observational pieces of equipment that might be being used by the Chinese to spy on us. Yeah, I'll get to the bottom of that on the other side of this. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
The Wallner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, really happy to be a member of this esteemed team. And I'm talking about the number one home selling team in the Berkshire Hathaway network. And I was explaining to some folks last night, just casually talking about the business of being a buyer's agent, which mostly I do. I will eventually do more of the selling side of it, but we have that component too as well. Rodney and Jen are really super good at that. They basically dress your home up, and they get the drone pictures, and they create basically what they want is a fight over your home, because that gives you the best price for your home. When it comes to being a buyer's agent, I help you get into that dream home, that home you love, that you like, you're attracted to, and I get that for the best price for you, not necessarily for the seller. And, of course, we go after all the other elements there, which would be all the inspections and everything else that is really super important to making you happy and putting you into that home maybe you've always dreamed about. And if you have to get out of the home that you have now so you can get into this home, we can take care of all of it for you, because we are great at what we do. The Wallner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hi, Sandy. What's that?
I'm reading up on this Amendment 4 on the August ballot.
What's 4?
Amendment 4 absurdly creates a new un-American minority veto power, but only for ballot issues that we citizens put on the ballot.
Don't they say it'll protect conservative ideas?
Truth gets in the way of their story. Amendment 4 would mean as few as 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one congressional district could veto any good conservative idea or reform, even when a big majority supports it.
That does sound un-American. How did that get on the ballot?
The politicians put it there, and it would empower a small minority of liberals. They could stop funding for police, stop tax cuts, or any other common sense conservative policy we support.
Only 5%? One district? That would make it nearly impossible to pass needed reforms or rein in politicians.
Yep, Amendment 4 is a misguided power grab by politicians. I'm voting no on Amendment 4.
Right. I'm not giving up my constitutional rights. It's a hard no on 4.
Paid for by Missourians for Fair Governance.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. The Allman Report, sponsored by Santino's Cigar Bar in Imperial.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. TM Harper. Dude, I'm not all that bright, but sometimes I'm pretty gullible, and this seems like I'm believing this. You said, I scanned the barcode of your shirt, because my shirt has some stripes on it. I scanned the barcode of your shirt, and it directed me to a website that recommended 3 martinis. Now I want a martini at lunchtime. Okay. I kind of half believe you that He scanned the barcode of my shirt. That's kind of crazy. It does look like a barcode. I didn't notice that. T.M. Harper, he also added that the pedestrian cabs are not that fun. They don't really look all that fun. I mean, it's people who are drinking. Many of them look like they're having fun, but they're also pedaling, which to me doesn't seem to be a very fun type of mixture as far as I'm concerned. All right. When I looked at this whole thing, this was really surprising to me. So I got this message from Doug Blair. He's the guy who is part of the press operations for Heritage Action, which is a great organization, part of the Heritage Foundation. And he directed me to the Heritage Action State Director for Missouri. Her name is Chandra Hendren. I want to make sure I get the Chandra pronounced right, but I'll ask her just in a second here. But apparently, Attorney General Catherine Hanaway is suing a company called the Lorex Corporation. So they sell home cameras and baby monitors. And she is saying, Catherine Hanaway is, that the company has concealed its ties to the Chinese military. Hanaway says the cameras are tied directly to the CCP and can spy on American children and presumably other Americans as well. Chandra Hendren, Heritage Action State Director for Missouri, welcome to the show. And this is mind-blowing. First of all, is it Chandra or Chandra?
Thank you for having me on. It's Chandra. Close enough.
Okay, perfect. I'll make sure that I get that right. I mean, this is almost hard to believe. Fine. This seems like almost science fiction, but Catherine Hanaway obviously is taking this seriously.
Yes, and we should take it seriously. I'm grateful to her for doing this. It's, it would be so nice if we could just live our lives and just, take our kids to school or teach, go to work, just do our jobs and not have to worry about a country that wants a government that wants to hurt us. It would just be nice to live in that white picket fence perfect world. But unfortunately, we do have to be very wary. And so according to the lawsuit, she's claiming that Lorex uses as a supplier for their technology, Dala Company, like you mentioned. And Dala just happens to be Lorex's former parent company and a company that the Pentagon classifies as a Chinese military company. So the research analyzing the Lorex firmware found it routed straight to Dala, which is a Chinese military company, further evidencing the CCP involvement and control. That means that the Chinese military can have allegedly can have direct access to your children and your family's, facial recognition, their voice. That's very scary. And there should not be able to view your baby sleeping, or your family when you're home. We're in Missouri. We value freedom, our American heritage, and I'm grateful for her standing up for our rights and making sure that people are aware of what is going on. Like I said, it's nice to just live in a bubble, but unfortunately we need people fighting to keep us and protect us. And I'm glad that she's standing up for Missourians.
Yeah. How did, you might not know this, and I guess it's a question for Catherine Hanaway's office, but how'd they wind up getting on the trail of this? Did something happen, or was it just kind of like part of a probe of the company and what's going on here?
I'm not sure how she got onto the trail. We noticed this kind of thing because one of the four cornerstones, if you will, the areas that we work on is our national security. So when, she sent out the statement that she's filing this, of course, this flagged it on our radar because we're watching things like this. Just even back in the spring as the mayor of Arcadia in California, the federal, she was charged, of being basically working for the CCP and pleaded guilty. And so these things happen and at Heritage Action, we work on policies to protect our national sovereignty and to defend our privacy, protect our technology. I mean, there are things that we need to do to protect ourselves. And so, we need to divest from China. We need to not have people lobby for the CCP interests. They should be lobbying for Missouri's interests.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too, and this would be more of the layperson's response to this because it was mine, and I'm thinking to myself because the Chinese Communist Party, they have a lot of different kinds of ways of practicing, trying to give a test run on things, whatever. Because my question would be, what would the Chinese government have to gain from spying like on a baby, in a crib or something? You know what I mean?
Exactly. In this company, they're well known for making baby monitors. They do home security systems. You might use a security system outside of a church or an office or again in your home. Baby monitors. There's a lot of variety of things that they do. And, it's kind of hard to say, but it's true. Our country, the United States, is in a new Cold War with China. The CCP is, unfortunately, our adversary. They use civilian military systems together to, I would say, know, influence, exploit, and defeat their opponents. So they do that through a variety of means. They have stolen American intellectual property, conducted espionage, hacked, extradited American data. They're even involved with, funneling fentanyl across the southern border, and they also infiltrate critical infrastructure. So there's a lot of ways that, unfortunately, it's like a virus. You're trying to get these tentacles out of our American system to protect our national security and our American heritage that we have. And so they use the data. Like I said, you can use data, you get all these points of, and I'm not a cybersecurity expert by any means. I will say that. But, we all hear those stories. When you hear of that, you're like, oh, what? Someone can hack into my information or my video feed is funneled directly to, a military government. That's very scary. And there's so many ways that can be exploited, either, facial recognition, voice recognition. We all hear those stories of, someone gets a call and, it maybe sound like another voice. And, there's so many ways that it could be used. And again, I'm not a cybersecurity expert.
Yeah.
The very thought that I go to a park, and I am wary for predators, as a mom, you watch where your kids are, who's there. And this is someone going into your home like a military predator. So that's just a whole nother level.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, even kind of they want us to ask those kinds of questions like, well, what would they have to do with a baby in a crib? Because they want us to think, well, to shoo this away as something that doesn't seem like it would really be real. But obviously, to me, and Catherine Hanaway is a smart person, and so are the people who work with her and for her. If they thought this was something that was just like them spying on a baby in a crib, they would walk away from it. But clearly there's some indication that there's something more to this. And, of course, also the ties to the Chinese military is certainly a concern because, the Chinese are playing a long game. That's how they do it. And it's just, whether it be buying up real estate, farmland, that kind of thing, they're just doing this piece by piece and assuming that we're just not going to catch up to it.
Right, exactly. When I saw this, I shared this with someone else today. I said, this product really should have a label that says, buy me and I'll share your family life with the Chinese military. I mean, it's terrible. So Lorex, the company, they misrepresented, they omitted important facts that consumers should know, not just consumers, retailers. We rely on that we need to vet our products that are sold. I mean, they didn't rely that, this is a national security threat, basically. And that's what we work on at Heritage Action, is trying to safeguard our country from the influence of the CCP. So that's why we're tracking this story and others like it across the country that pop up. So I'm glad that you are sharing this and bringing awareness.
Yeah.
If I had one of those baby monitors, I would instantly take it back or get rid of it.
Right on. We're talking with Chandra Hendren, who is the Heritage Action State Director for Missouri. And I'm assuming that ultimately, this is Catherine Hanaway, the Missouri Attorney General. I'm assuming this isn't just a Missouri-centric type of affair. You'd imagine that there might be other attorneys general who might be on board with this. This might be actually turning out to be something bigger. Is that possible?
Yeah, and I do know that 2 other states, Nebraska and Texas, have also filed consumer protection lawsuits against Lorex. I don't have the details for those, but I do know that they have both filed, lawsuits as well.
Okay, so how can we, as average, everyday citizens, help you guys? What can we do? And I'm glad to hear about Heritage Action's Missouri component there, because I had no idea, as a matter of fact. So I'm really happy to have been made aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, one way, if you want to stay up to date on how we are, pushing back against the influence of the CCP and trying to, promote policies at the state and the federal level that protect our national security, we have our Heritage Sentinel program where you get updates on how you can be involved and, get that information. You can text JOIN to 51776. It's, 250th year of our American founding, so it's pretty easy to remember 1776. So just text JOIN to 51776, and we can sign you up to get updates from Heritage Action. We provide policy solutions, again, both on the state and the federal level to protect against the influence of the CCP, because we should not have to worry about buying a baby monitor. I mean, it should just be, we view it, it's our kid. I love what Catherine Hanaway said, and if you have her on her show, I'm sure she would say it, but the quote that she said was, "The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, and Missouri will not allow the CCP to put its hand on our cradles." And I just thought that was well said. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I love it. And, even when one of our listeners is pointing out on the Facebook page that, and this happened over the weekend too, to me and my family, where you have your locked phone, like your locked iPhone. If you talk about something, whatever it happens to be, it shows up on your phone in your Facebook feed and everything else. That's crazy. Like, it's true.
That is very concerning. Yeah. So thank you for bringing awareness to this and sharing it, because more parents and people need to be aware and not take our freedom for granted, and really step up and make our voice heard and make sure that companies, businesses, and that we are aware and informed. I'm really grateful that she's filed this lawsuit.
Chandra Hendren, thank you so much for your time. State Director of Heritage Action for America. Really appreciate you joining us. Thanks for the illumination.
Thank you for having me on. Have a great day.
That is Chandra Hendren, who is the Director of the Heritage Action. Heritage Action is an awesome organization, as you all know, so it's good stuff. All right, coming up, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you an update on President Trump meeting with Senator Thune. Looks like there might have been some advancements for the SAVE Act. Also, it looks like the left, manifested in MSN Now and everything else, are in denial over the fact that they have been colonized and cucked by the Islamic jihadist traitors in this country and in our politics, and the Jew-hating left, pro-Palestine left. But it is their mess, and they are so far denying it, so they're not going to clean it up. And so let's just watch this train wreck roll on. I'll give you updates on all of that. It's Common Sense Radio.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime. News Talk STL right on my phone. Anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hanson's Tree Service, hansonstree.com. So by now, you probably have had a sense of like the weakness of your trees right now, and maybe you just haven't pulled the trigger to do something about them. So we've had some of these storms, and over the weekend it rained pretty hard, and so there's some stuff and windy and that kind of thing, to the point where you might have seen some branches falling onto your lawn and all that other stuff. Well, Hanson's Tree is here to help you because, as I've said before, these branches, the big branches, don't look too menacing when they're up in the sky like that on the tree. But, man, they fall across your driveway, and you're thinking, dang, I'm glad that didn't fall on me or my car or one of my kids or whatever. So take care of business this way with Hanson's Tree Service. Deadwooding and pruning is critical for the health of your trees. Very, very important. Tree takedowns are very, very inexpensive with Hanson's Tree Service. Chad Hanson is continuing on with the dream of his dad, the late, great Jeff Hanson, who has really just, it's just an amazing operation and growing all the time. They now finance tree takedowns also. Now you can order the mulch and the magic bean all online and have it delivered to your home. The mulch has all different kinds of blades and cuts and colors. It's really super cool. And, of course, even as you start thinking about fall planting or whatever it happens to be, autumn planting, whatever, that magic bean is really great, really works well, and is a great performer as a composting mixture. And I called it the Magic Bean 20 years ago when Jeff Hanson first introduced it. And at first they said, well, we're not gonna label it magic because we can't. We don't want anybody getting on our case about it. I said, well, I'm still going to call it magic because it is. I've seen the pictures of Dave MacArthur sunflowers, all this other stuff. So Hanson's Tree Service, longtime supporters of free common sense conservative radio, hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serve you St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
Producer Joey V of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show here, reminding you, don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Listen to Joey V's Movies Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J. Steakhouse, Freddy's Market, AAA Motor Speedway, and Best Buy Flooring.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story when I was accused of stealing from my radio station, facing a polygraph.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by the Walner Home Selling Team.
It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. The 3 Martini Lunch, my friends. Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday to all of you and yours. So, at the beginning of the show, I explained to you the manifestation of what I predicted was going to happen yesterday. And it kind of started with Dan Goldman, Democrat, being basically refused service at some Islamic jihadist dirtbag's coffee shop because he's Jewish. They claim it's the pro-Israel thing, but it's all because they're Jewish. They're not kidding anybody and fooling anybody. And I said it's going to come. There'll be a time when the Democrat Party is colonized by Islamic jihadists and America haters and Islamic jihadist sympathizers and commies. And it all happened lickety-splickety last night in New York with the primaries. And, yeah, they elected a woman who bragged about, wiping her hands with the American flag when she didn't have a napkin. They elevated a woman to Congress who is celebrating 9/11, hates Jews, and is basically even worse and more radical and more of a scumbag than Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib or any of these people. And she's guaranteed to be in Congress. And, of course, they all basically, Hakeem Jeffries is speaking at her event, and they're all booing him and telling him he's next to be defeated. So, again, this might be easier than we thought. The Democrat Party might just simply be collapsing from within, as Van Jones predicted. And so, we won't have to work as hard because they'll just commit Harry-Carry right in front of our eyes and we'll enjoy it. It couldn't happen to a better group of white liberal fools than members of the Democrat Party. Chuck Scarborough is on with Donnie Deutsch, of course. And they are trying to say that, well, this isn't a big deal. They are electing moderates. And by the way, I keep listening to people who are talking on the air like that. I think the news people are all claiming that these radicals defeated moderates. Calling Dan Goldman a moderate is just pure idiocy. It's not true. Dan Goldman was never a moderate, but the person who defeated him is simply just worse than he is, and more radical even than he is. But they're all kind of the same. But Scarborough's like, well, nothing to see here.
64 days a year. Today, they will act like, and I hope you don't act like, New York City is the center of the world, because it's a big country out there.
You know what? There's what's called badge branding. You sell Chevrolets and you use Corvette to kind of sell the whole thing. And my concern, this is from a branding point of view, not a reality point of view, is that you now have the ability, I'm not talking about Fox News, I'm talking about if the Republicans are running against Democrats, no matter who the Democrat is, they say the Democratic Party stands for this. The Democratic Party stands for what these principles stand for.
Can I ask you this? How many points did Mikey Sherrill win by when we heard?
Anyway, you get the picture here. Donnie Deutsch is actually correct, because that is going to happen and should happen. And the one piece of video that I'm almost guarantee you will not see on any legacy media broadcast, aside from maybe Fox News, are the chants at this scumbag chick's victory party, the chants when Hakeem Jeffries was talking, the chants of you are next, you're next. They'll not play that because that is what the Democratic Party is. And Joe Scarborough can act like, well, New York's a lot different, whatever. No. Hakeem Jeffries is a D.C. Democrat as well as a New York Democrat. This is happening all over the country. It's happening in Chicago as well. And, you don't get, racist America haters like Mayor Brandon over there in Chicago accidentally. It's not like he's an anomaly either. They're all over the place. And so they've got their work cut out for them, but we're just going to watch them essentially just die from the flesh-eating bacteria known as the Islamic jihadist, anti-Semite people who are now the majority of the Democrat Party. So listen to this. The headline on this is really interesting, and this is from Real Clear Science, which I love. Artificial intelligence is still quite dumb. And here's what it says. It says, billionaire venture capitalist and artificial intelligence evangelist Mark Andreessen recently claimed that artificial general intelligence is already here. He either doesn't know what artificial general intelligence is or is unaware of numerous examples that glaringly reveal how AI lacks it. In those examples, AI comes off looking quite dumb, actually. Artificial general intelligence is the stage of AI development in which an AI system matches or exceeds the cognitive abilities of humans across any task. AI has progressed remarkably in the last few years, but it undeniably has not attained artificial general intelligence. Prominent scientific skeptic and neurologist Stephen Novella recently shared a clear example on his podcast, which was called The Skeptic's Guide to the Internet and AI. and it's really crazy. Novella described how he gave ChatGPT a very basic prompt. And it was, if I want to wash my car and the car wash is 100 meters away, should I walk or drive there? Which is kind of interesting, playing around there. ChatGPT's response was this: from a purely energy emission standpoint, walking almost certainly makes more sense. Notice ChatGPT's embarrassing error. It did give the correct answer when Novella subtly altered the prompt, however. If I prompt, I want to wash my car, the car wash is 100 meters away, should I drive or walk? Its answer, you should probably drive. Other way is your car won't get to the car wash. So did you get what was going on there? So the difference between AI and artificial general intelligence. And so it's almost like when you talk about riddles and things like that, who is like I would maybe try one, who is buried in Grant's tomb? Like, have you ever had anybody kind of do that little joke to you? It's a long time ago, and it was like, I don't know, who's buried in Grant's tomb? Huh. I wonder whether if ChatGPT would be able to answer that. So what this guy was doing was he was putting together like a trick word question where I said, I need to wash my car. The car wash is 100 meters away. Should I walk or drive? And ChatGPT's like, well, it would be great for the emissions of the planet if you just walked. Well, at that point, you're like, well, how can I wash my car if I walk? Because I'm not taking my car there. So that's a clear limitation. And I've told you some personal stories about ChatGPT's limitations when you ask it questions and things like that. And sometimes it doesn't know. But it did give the correct answer when he subtly altered the prompt, however. So he said, I want to wash my car. The car wash is 100 meters away. Should I drive or walk? You should probably drive. Otherwise, your car won't get to the car wash. So it finally did get it. But its initial response was crazy. So earlier this month, psychologists published a paper showing another clear way AI falls short of human intelligence. Large language models, it turns out, struggle mightily with this thing called the Stroop test, and it's kind of more convoluted, but there are ways that you could basically trick the ChatGPT, or it will give you answers. And now whether or not that's an example of purposely trying to trick it. So, and like I can do, let me just see if I can, I'm just going to go ahead and do this for the sake of doing it really quickly with Claude, and do it that way. So I'll ask Claude this. I'll just ask him a quick question. Hey, Claude, who is buried in Grant's tomb? And I just said it to him. Come on. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So Claude got it right. He said Ulysses Grant and his wife, Julia Dent Grant. And Claude didn't say, ha, 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 you tried to trick me. But I can ask Claude and see if Claude will give me the same answer when it comes to the other thing. And let me see here. Hey, Claude, I have to wash my car, and the car wash is 100 meters away. Should I walk or should I drive? Do that one. Let me see what happens. Claude says, drive. You're going to a car wash after all. Walking there defeats the purpose. So Claude has that, but ChatGPT apparently doesn't, or they've adjusted it or whatever. So it kind of depends on the platforms you're using. And I told you before when I did ChatGPT, I don't really like ChatGPT as much as I do Claude. So Claude's helping me with a lot of things, including gardening. But, when I asked, like, where are the main places where Sarah Teasdale's poetry is, ChatGPT missed like the two main places where it is. And when I corrected it, it's like, oh, yeah, those two. Like, okay, whatever. It has its limitations. It's still fun, however. Ashlyn, thank you so much. Appreciate you all as well. Coming up, Tony Colombo and Company. Straight ahead. Have a great and blessed one.
Hungry at midnight? Craving a home-cooked breakfast at noon? At Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant, we've got ya 24 hours a day. For 35 years, folks have been coming back for our famous fried chicken, bone-in catfish, country fried steak, slow-cooked pot roast, scratch-made pancakes, or a slice of homemade pie. Daily specials and a loyalty rewards program that actually pays off. There's always a reason to come back to Gingham's Restaurant in St. Charles. Skip the wait. Join our waitlist on Yelp or at ginghamsrestaurant.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
Next week is the 39th anniversary of the Betzer Pond Scum stunt. We'll take you all the way back to its origin and how it's popped up everywhere from New York City television to Regis on Millionaire.
But why pond scum? You know, a guy called me that years ago. I never knew what he meant. Pond scum.
And the shocking death of Jim Morrison next week in 1971. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL. This year, America turns 250.